We passed fantasy. It's not sports betting, right?
Right.
We need to not confuse it.
Right.
It's just fantasy leagues, right?
Correct.
Going to bring in big money. It's going to save the state. Yeah.
Oh boy, I am so skeptical of anyone who has a silver bullet to the budget crisis.
But it's for the children.
It always is for the children. It always is. Look, I'm not necessarily opposed to legalizing those sorts of practices. I think, generally speaking, people ought to be able to do with their money what they please. That said, we have to be very careful that we don't look at these as these magical solutions to the budget. We have to spend less money, and we have to have a process that is actually fair and equitable to figuring out how to match taxpayer dollars with the priorities of the voters. And right now, we spend too much money, and we have a broken budget system. And adding more money to the pot is not the solution that's going to get us out of this.
Daniel, John Bell calls you this afternoon, and it's not going to happen. We know that. But he says, Daniel, I heard a lot about you. I hear you can help me fix the budget.
Yeah.
Where do I start, Daniel?
You got it. All right. Here's where we... I love this question. Here's where we start. We start by unlocking these, we call them dedicated funds, which is, let's be clear about what these are. These are non-reviewed government spending items that just happen every year. Now, I want you to imagine your household budget was set by your crazy uncle 50 years ago.
Yeah, and he wanted a rice board.
That's right. And you have to keep buying that.
And he wanted the rice board protected.
Yep. And here you are, and you've got to have a cell phone bill and your Netflix bill and some things that
some ramen noodles,
that's
maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
every now and then you got to eat. This makes it really hard. Our state legislators only control 11%, almost just over $1 out of every $10 that we send to Baton Rouge. They have the ability to match to our priorities. That's a huge problem.
You're saying 90% is dedicated?
89%. Yeah.
So what are the chances of getting a constitutional amendment to fix that?
So it's tough. Here's the challenge we face is we have a very deeply entrenched and powerful status quo who benefits from the system and its complexity. We were talking at the break about the state constitution, right? So after Tuesday, there are now the constitution that was ratified in 1974 has been amended 195 times. Of that full Constitution, 13,000 words are dedicated to how we spend our money. Just by contrast, the entirety of the U.S. Constitution and its amendments is 7,591 words. So we spend almost double the amount of the entire governing document of our country just instructing legislators how to spend the money. So it's going to be tough, but to break through and actually be able to do all the other things we care about, reform education, fix the tax code, we have to first unlock this budget and get it to a place where it can actually reflect our priorities.
But Daniel, I want the gas tax to fix roads.
Oh my.
I want that dedicated to roads. I don't want it to pay state police. I want the minimum foundation program protected. I want my lottery dollars to go to schools. Some things I want protected, and I don't want everybody's hand in the pie.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
It's a really fair argument, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to reflect the voter priorities. The reality is those things are priorities of the people, and they were 50 years ago, and they are today. We can't spend the right amount of money on those things and do it in the right way because the Constitution and our laws are so prescriptive in how those dollars are spent. Imagine a world in which when we have a volatile tax base, as you know, and so when budgets are down, we don't first go into healthcare and transportation and those things we care about. The reality is the things that get locked up are the things that are going to be harder to match with priorities. The other stuff's going to get funded, and it's going to get funded better and more streamlined if we can unlock the process and give legislators more power.
Okay, a couple of things happened Tuesday with regard to Arkansas. Passed casino gambling at 4 locations. Also increased the minimum wage. Let's start with the gambling. Our market could feel that hard. We're already feeling Oklahoma, losing some of the Dallas market to Oklahoma. We can't afford to lose any more jobs in our community. Is that going to hurt?
I think it will. You know, this is the great benefit and downside, right, of our federalist system is states compete against one another, and when you're reliant on special carve outs or special industries like gambling, that has a huge impact when other states do better or when have those competing opportunities. Imagine a world where Louisiana had an economy that was growing and vibrant and diversified, and some competition in one sector across the border didn't have a potentially devastating impact on the overall economy and jobs. That's where we have to get to, and that's not where we are. And I think we will see some ill effects of that.
Minimum wage. Is it time for Louisiana to address that? You're going to go to Arkansas and be able to earn more than $11 an hour eventually. People like Matt may go, you know what? I may go on to Arkansas.
You know, the minimum wage is such a complicated issue, in part because the whole purpose, the original purpose of a minimum wage was just to protect young workers who were coming into the workforce from against exploitation. This conversation has drifted into how do we help pay people beyond that sort of young incoming worker,
like a living wage.
A living wage. Those conversations. What we know is across the board, we're seeing entry level wages, particularly outside of that young teenager level, are $15 or $16 or $17 an hour anyway. We don't need more government regulation to do that. We need a growing economy that can provide quality jobs to everyone, so we don't have to worry about government mandating low wages. Let's make sure we can bring those high wage jobs to our state to begin with.
Daniel Erspamer, Pelican Institute. You guys do some great work. Keep the fight up.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do it.
And join us anytime you want. You've got my number, and we would love to have you back anytime.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it, y'all.